very special day today on Saltiness Isn't Bliss. Why? Because the end of this week on Sunday marks 2 years that this channel has been around. So the 2-year anniversary is the end of this week. Thank you guys so much for all the love, for all the support. I could not have done it without you. I look forward to all the tasty recipes that lie ahead in the weeks, months, and years to come. So without further ado, the recipe of the day is pasta fagioli. And I know that soup is not something most people think of in summer, especially in the start and the heat of summer. However, I have longed for this recipe. I am such a big fan of soup. Try to eat it year-round unless it gets way too hot, but luckily it's cooled off a bit outside. It's no longer 100 degrees. So what better way to honor and celebrate the channel's anniversary than with this recipe? So let's get to it. So I've got a medium pot here. I've done all my prep ahead of time to just speed things up and make it just a smooth, simple, easy, combine everything in the pot, simmer all the flavors together, and then just ladle it into a bowl and enjoy it. So noodles and veggies and meat go into this recipe. Those are things, if you choose, you can cook ahead of time. So I have cooked my noodles and my carrots ahead of time, so they are ready to go. I also have browned my ground beef ahead of time, so that's good to go. About 10 to 15 minutes prep time is all that it took me. If you are going to put fresh onion or fresh garlic in this recipe, you will need to add a little more time to saute those. In this case, I'm going to go with the dried version, so that's not going to add any time to my prep. So we want to start, and I should mention this is a half recipe. I just, in an effort to cut down the salt, but also just to make it a little more simple, just cut the recipe in half, but of course you can always make a full-size version. We're going to start, this is a 32-ounce jug or jar or bottle of tomato juice. We want to put, if you're following my half recipe, then we're going to put half the bottle into the pot. Next up is chicken broth. Although the box says unsalted, you always want to read that nutrition label because there is some salt in there, but not too bad, not too much. I am going to put 7 ounces of that into the pot. So there is my base. There's a bird in the background that really wants to be in the video. So now I'm going to add in all of my spices so I can really blend those into my soup base before I add in all my larger, chunkier parts of my soup. So next up will be a half a tablespoon of olive oil. Do you hear the bird right outside the window here? It's a little piece of nature joining in on Saltiness Isn't Bliss today, and there is nothing wrong with that. All right, so that was our olive oil. We are gonna put some fresh cracked pepper, any pepper you love and wanna use, and that will be to taste. So I'm just going to put a nice layer all the way around. Now I've got this lovely little plate tray of just a whole bunch of delicious dried seasonings. So I've got a half a teaspoon each of oregano and minced dried garlic. Minced dried onion to taste. Again, you can go with fresh and saute that ahead of time if you like. And then over here, I've got 1.5 teaspoons each of parsley and basil. So I am gonna just drop all of that into my bowl, or excuse me, all of that into my pot. Kind of scrape all the excess off there. Miraculously, that did all go in the pot. Did not all land outside of it like I expected it to. Get my mini whisk out for this just to make sure all those dried ingredients really blend into my soup base and aren't stuck floating on the top of the surface. So now we're going to add in all the remaining ingredients, all our chunky stuff, if you will. So any pasta you want to use in this soup is great. All of the quantities here will be up to you. So if there's something you love, like pasta or veggies or beans or meat, feel free to add in more than what I've got here. So this is a half a cup of cooked pasta. Next up, I've got a 1/4 cup of cooked matchstick carrots. You can, of course, slice up, cut up your carrots thicker if you like. Over here, I've got a 1/4 cup of ground beef that is browned and drained. And then last but not least, I've got my beans. Any style beans will do. These are the ones I'm going with today. Suggestion on the beans, make sure you drain them, but also rinse them. And the reason I say that is a lot of beans, these included, have a lot of salt added into the can. So when you drain and rinse them, it helps to kind of wash away that excess sodium that we are trying to eliminate with our recipes on this channel. The measurement on the beans was 1/2 the can. So now we want to give that a really good stir. Mix and blend all that together, and as you're doing that, as I've said in other recipes, you will be able to tell whether there's anything you feel like you want to add a little more of. I can't even begin to tell you guys how amazing this looks. I have longed to learn how to make this soup that I've enjoyed from restaurants over the years. So there it is. There's a sneak peek of all the ingredients blended in there. So now the idea is that we just want to simmer, to heat it up, and to allow the flavors to fuse together. So we are going to simmer. We want to bring it to a boil first, or just a very, very gentle bubble. And once that happens, then we're just going to simmer it anywhere between 10 and 20, even 30 minutes if you have the time and want to. Well, saltinesses and blissers, the time has come. The soup is fully simmered, fully cooked, ready to eat. Every time I took the lid off, oh, my mouth watered. It looks, it smells so amazing, just like I remember from the restaurants that I've eaten it at. In total, I simmered it for about 20 minutes, so I brought it to a very gentle boil, had it covered, and then just kept an eye on it and just turned the temperature down as needed throughout that 20 minutes. And I did occasionally stir it as well. You can eat it just as is, because it's going to be delicious and amazing on its own. Or you can, add a garnish on top, whatever you like. So I'm going to go with some grated Parmesan cheese. Give you as close a view as I can without spilling that everywhere. Just going to kind of sprinkle some grated Parmesan cheese right on top, and you can see that just kind of melt right in there. Am I making you hungry yet? Am I making you want soup in the summer yet? Now, this is one of those rare soups that is so rich, I actually don't put crackers in it, because usually I love crackers in my soup. So make it work for you. Make it, just whatever you enjoy, add it in, add it on top of your soup. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.